Welcome back to the Guide's Guide. Have you ever lost a fish due to a bad knot? Well, today we're going to take you through the 4 knots that we use to catch salmon and halibut while we're chartering, and the ones we use in our episodes.
And by the end of this episode, you guys are gonna know how to tie these knots, and one of you lucky winners is gonna win one of our West Coast Fishing Tackle 3D Electromirror Power Bundles. This bundle comes equipped with our top 6 producing spoons on the West Coast and the Green Hornet, our top producing flasher for the last 4 years. But you gotta stick around to the end of the episode to find out how. We're just gonna put this back here so you guys can gawk at this while we show you how to tie some knots. And the first knot we're gonna tie is kind of an iconic knot here on the West Coast.
If you're using a hoochie and a flasher, Tyler, this is the original.
This is the original tandem hook setup with snell knots. And we're gonna show you guys how to tie this onto a hoochie rig. And then I'll also talk a little bit about the length in between the hoochie and the flasher. Let's get started. So here's what you're gonna need to run the snell knot in a tandem setup with a hoochie. 2 3/0 octopus hooks, a couple of beads, and then your hoochie right here. Throw your line through your octopus hook, give yourself about 1 inch, and then you're gonna wrap it around like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Grab the end of your line, bring it back through the opposite direction. Make sure you hold that bottom piece right there, and then wrap this around another 6 times. And then wet your knot a little bit, drag it through, you don't get a tangle. And just like that, you've got one of your snell knots ready to go. For the second hook, grab your line, and you want to make sure that you're feeding your line this direction through the shank and then through the eyelet there, all the way down to your next hook. And the best way to hook these up is to have them so that they are opposite each other, just like this, and get them nice and close. This is going to give you better hookups, and it's going to do less damage to the fish in the event that you want to do a release. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Grab the end of your line. You're going to come through the same direction you went through the first time, through this side. Grab the bottom of that loop there, and you're going to loop it around another 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that. Don't forget to wet your line, and then start sliding that main line all the way through, making sure that you're not going to hook into the stinger hook, just like that, and just start slowly bringing that through. And then once you're through, give a little tighten, and there you go. Your hooks are opposite each other, or relatively opposite each other. You can cut off this tag end here and then go ahead and feed a couple of beads onto the line. Just like that, all the way down to the hooks. And then we're gonna take, this is an OR12 from West Coast Fishing Tackle. We're just gonna cut the nose off here so that we have a hole. We can feed our main line through right here, or our leader line actually, sorry. And then we'll feed this all the way down over those beads. Make sure that when you're putting your beads in, you don't get any of your tentacles stuck into the hoochie there. If you do, it's not going to swim quite right. And just shove those beads up like that. Get those tentacles looking nice and straight. And there you have a tandem hook setup for a hoochie. Really nice. You could add an extra bead here or use some bigger beads if you wanted to get your stinger hook right to the back of the tentacles. But using that snell knot is really going to help ensure that you have strong knots on your hooks, and you're going to get really good hookups on your salmon. So as you guys saw there, tying that snell knot is pretty easy, but it can get a little bit finicky in there. So just make sure that your fingertips are tight against the knot while you're tying those wraps. But this is just a really smart knot to tie, especially if you want to run hoochies in tandem, or if you're tying up hooks for bait, whether you're running anchovy or herring. This is a great knot to tie for that. It's going to go through the skin of those baits really cleanly as well.
Yeah, and it works for larger hoochies as well, like your turds. You can run it on that as well. Typically, Tyler, how far behind the flasher are you running your hoochie?
Yeah, so I like about 36 inches, 38 inches with the bead chain, or about 3.5 wraps around the flasher.
Yeah, it's a great knot. It's been around for years. It's the I guess, the most long-standing traditional way to tie up a hoochie.
100%. And you can buy packs like this that are pre-tied for you at places like Gone Fishing out here in Courtenay or down in Duncan, Nanaimo, Port Alberni. But if you want to tie up your own rigs, exactly what we just did right there is how you want to go about doing that.
5-pack of these hoochies is $9.99 West Coast Fishing Tackle. You can't go wrong.
Absolutely. This episode is brought to you by West Coast Fishing Tackle, the quality anglers deserve. Parksville Boathouse, your full-service boat dealer and chandlery. Gone Fishing, serving Vancouver Island and beyond for over 30 years. What do you say we get into the next knot? What are we tying?
Copy that. I think we're going to go into a loop knot next.
Yeah, that's one of your favorites for tying on the spoons, isn't it?
It is. Secret
All
weapon.
right, let's get into it.
When I'm fishing with spoons, I like to get as much action out of them as possible. You can tie onto this welded ring at the front directly if you want to, but I like to tie what's called a loop knot. Loop knot allows these to swim completely freely. This is how I'm going to tie the loop knot. I start off by doing an overhanded knot, just like that, leaving it there. I take the other end and put it through the ring, and then I take the tag end and run it up through that loop that I made earlier. I'm going to pull this down to about that far away from the ring, and then pinch it. Take the tag end and twist it up here, basically doing a clinch knot 5 or 6 times, and then back down through both of those rings like that. I'm going to pull this down tightly like this, using my teeth to where that cinches right up almost. You can see the knot almost coming together there. And then I'm going to pull this tight and move that down. What we now have is a clinch knot with a loop knot. That spoon can now swim completely freely without being hampered by a line that's tied directly to the ring. The loop knot is great when used with little spoons. Gives them a lot of action, lets them run freely. It works on larger spoons as well. Very easy to tie. Just remember to check it every once in a while to see if there's a little bit of rubbing happening. Tyler's not a big fan of using the loop knot because... True.
Well, honestly, I feel like the loop knot against the ring here, there's a potential for wear. And if you don't specifically check that spot on the loop, you could have some wear issues and you might have a heartbreak at the boat. I mean, I very regularly check my leaders like this for any frays and stuff, but you know, for the loop knot, it's just not my thing to go in there and start checking to see this. But I will say that I 100% agree with James that the loop knot gives a spoon a way better action. It gives it that free floating movement that you really like.
It does, and apart from checking the leader, I'll retie this thing every 3 or 4 fish. I think it gives us the full action of the spoon. Give it a shot. In the comments, let us know what you think. Now, there's the loop knot, and then there's the more traditional knot, which is your knot. I think you refer to this as the fisherman's knot or the improved clinch knot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been used for years by anglers to tie everything. It's what I grew up tying. I still like this knot.
Absolutely, and it's a great knot to tie for a lot of different, pieces of fishing gear. Like I said, I agree with you in the action for the loop knot on a spoon. It does give you a little bit better of that action, a little more natural feel in the water, the way that bait floats and flutters. James always has got this movement with his hand because bait really does do that in the water, and you want your gear to mimic that as much as possible. But for me, I'm going to show you guys how to tie up this improved clinch knot, or fisherman's knot as I call it. So for the fisherman's knot or the improved clinch knot, you're going to take your line and go directly through your ring here. You're going to take about 6-7 inches, and you're going to start at the very base, and you're going to wrap around your line 6 to 8 times. And once you get to this point, you're going to take your tag end and go through that first loop. And then from there, you're going to take your tag end and you're going to push it back through the main loop that you just created. After wetting your knot, you're going to pull down tight and you're going to cinch that knot nice and tight, just like that. And just make sure that that knot is seated completely, and then cut this tag, and there you've got an improved clinch knot.
I think, like you were saying, Tyler, it's probably the most used knot in fishing, whether you're fishing with a hoochie or you're fishing with a spoon, or you can even tie that to the bottom hook on a hoochie, or some guys use it in a tandem setup for bait. It's the best all-round knot you can find. It's basically bomb-proof.
Yep.
And it's been around as long as I can remember.
It really is. And if you decide to go with a loop knot on a spoon like what James has done there, you're still going to use this improved clinch knot to tie your bead swivel on the other end. Or you're going to use the improved clinch knot to tie your leader line to your flasher or whatever. So this is still just like what James is saying, such a versatile knot to tie all the rest of your gear, even if you decide to go with a loop knot like that.
It is, and I'm going to show you a knot now that's kind of like this, similar purpose for tying onto swivels, etc. Can be tied to all sorts of gear. It's a very quick knot. It's called the click knot. It was shown to me by a buddy of mine, Jordan Mackey at Gone Fishing, the general manager in Courtney, and we'll show you that one right now. We're going to tie up a pretty simple halibut rig here, pretty standard one. This is going to be one with a top slip hook, and we're going to start off by using that click knot. Bottom hooks can be anywhere from a size 6 to a size 10. I think this is about a size 8 that I'm using right here. But again, we're going to come through the bottom like that. Loop it once, twice, 3 times. Back up through there. Pull this down towards the bottom, like this. And you'll see, as I pull, it clicks into place, just like that. Very simple knot to use, very strong and excellent when you're using heavier pound tests. And that's a nice knot on the bottom hook. I'm going to take my next hook and just slip this on. Basically, it's a slider coming through the bottom of the hook again, and letting it run freely like that above that hook. On top of this, I'm going to take a bead. This just happens to be a glow bead, and run that through. And then above the bead, I'm going to take a blinking light. These are saltwater activated. You might get a little bit of a blink when I put my finger on there and see it like that. But these things really light up at depth in the water and are activated by the salt water. A little bit of a trick, sometimes when you pull these out of the water, they continue to blink. Rinse them off with fresh water, and that'll stop them blinking. Through the bottom of that, and then through there. And we're just gonna take this tag end and run it right up through our glow hoochie. This is an oversized glow hoochie. Insert the light up through the glow hoochie, and then pull the tentacles out, because they like to get caught up there, like this one is right now. And I'm going to pull that right up to the top, making sure those hooks don't come into me. Now, if we pull this back through, we see we have a bottom hook, which goes into the bottom piece of the salmon belly, the top hook, which fits onto the top of the salmon belly, and this blinking like that. There's a bead here to stop it smashing into that light. As you saw in that demonstration, really useful for tying up heavier line like this 130-pound test. Just wanted to mention as well, on this rig, if you wanted to, you could also have the knot that Tyler showed you in the first video, the snell knot, to fix this in place. I do find when I'm fishing salmon bellies, if these are tied permanently in place without having a slider, it keeps that salmon belly out nice and straight. With a herring, however, wrap that one through the herring a couple of times, put that through the head, and this is one of the best halibut setups you can get.
100%. I mean, every rig has its benefits, its pros and cons. You know, a sliding rig is very versatile, but I do agree with you that having that snell knot here on that second hook, in particular when you're running salmon belly, because it's so malleable and it's like rubber basically. You know, you need something stiff to be able to hold it into place. But yeah, wrapping this around a herring rig is just beauty, and I really like the sliding rig. I think it's one of the best rigs out there. You know, West Coast Fishing Tackle actually sells these as a pre-tied pack in a slider rig. And it's one of the rigs I ran all season this year.
Yeah, they sell it in a slider rig with a flashing light and a hoochie.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet setup, and it's kind of a go-to when you know you gotta pull something out of the box quick that you might not have tied yourself the night before. And toss that on with a little piece of whatever on there, some herring,
it works.
Some octopus even is a great one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really works well.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching the entire video. We really appreciate that. And Tyler's got a little surprise for you. This prize pack, Tyler, that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
How do they get a chance to win one of these?
So you got to be subscribed to the channel and drop your favorite fishing knot that you like to use in the comments. and we're gonna pick a lucky winner out of here and get in touch with you. We might drop it in the next episode, or we might just hit you up on Instagram. So make sure you drop your Instagram handles in the comments as well. We want to get you one of these awesome prize packs. Canada or the States, we're gonna figure out how to get this to you. So everybody go ahead and drop your comments. And again, thanks very much for watching the episode.
Thanks, guys.